educate, empower, enable, impact. Thank you for tuning in to That Will Never Work podcast, where we share inspiring information and personal experiences related to business and the entrepreneurial journey from those who are leaders in their respective field. Now, here's your host, author and business coach, Maurice.
I thank y'all very much for tuning in today. Thank you very much. I have an interesting individual today who thinks outside of the box, but he is an accomplished serial entrepreneur and the visionary behind Custom Box Agency. Funny enough, right? An acclaimed customer experience design agency headquartered in Austin, Texas. His extensive expertise and strategic acumen were showcased in Joey Coleman's renowned book, Never Lose an Employee Again. A former top-rated strategy consultant at Deloitte Consulting, and he holds a distinguished MBA from Duke University. And furthermore, his role as a mentor at South by Southwest and is recognized as Forbes' next 1,000 entrepreneur that exemplifies his commitment to excellence in the entrepreneurial world. I thank y'all very much for listening today and tuning in to That Will Never Work podcast. I welcome Mark. Mark, thank you very much for coming to the show.
Maurice, I'm thrilled to be here. And I love the name of your podcast, by the way. So,
and you know, I get that a lot, and people don't understand, or they have their own version as to why this name resonates with them. You know, for me, you know, you have people, family members, friends that's going to tell you, hey, that idea, this venture, that job, you know, buying that car, whatever it is, because we all can make it personal that something is not going to work. And I think that has been something that I truly embody, and I want to change that on his head, that it is going to work, that it's not going to be that negative connotation.
Love it. Love it.
You know, and so with sticking with that idea, you know, you kind of think outside the box. You know, and I'm saying that because I listened to one of your interviews and you had said something very interesting, that your idea, even though it's unique, but you don't have a problem with someone taking the idea, right? Mm-hmm. You know, and a lot of people don't feel that way about that. Why do you feel that way?
That is such a great question. And thank you, by the way, for bringing this up. When I started as an entrepreneur, I used to think, oh, I have this brilliant idea, but I can't tell anyone about it, which means if you can't tell anyone about it, how are you going to grow this idea? And finally just came to the realization that, you know, you and I can sell the exact same product or service. Many people sell many people sell the exact same thing.
Right.
But the reality is, why does one person choose to buy from you and another chooses to buy from me? So you have to realize that the buying decision is not up to you as the entrepreneur. It's up to your customer. And different people are going to resonate differently. Right. And I will tell you this, that I can give you my entire business model. I have no problem saying, here's the blueprint to how we do what we do. Because at the end of the day, I'm not going to do it the way that you do it, right, and you're not going to do it the way that I do it. I mean, my biggest competitive advantage is that I'm Mark. Your biggest competitive advantage is that you're Maurice.
Right.
And so if that's the case, how I show up, how I deliver, I'm going to attract different people than you, and you're going to attract different people than me. So in that sense, I have to have an abundant mentality. I have to believe that we both can win. Because at the end of the day, I know that how I approach something is going to be completely different than you, and how I show up and communicate. And I'll also say this, I come with a lot of heart and passion, and people can feel that. They can feel the me being genuine and authentic.
Right.
I truly want other people to win. Other people may not have the right intention or just have a different one. So that's kind of where it's just that you could take my entire business model. I can give you the whole blueprint, but you do not have my greatest competitive advantage, which is that I am me and then you are you.
And something that you mentioned, which is very outside the box, is that abundant mentality for both of us. You get what I mean? You know, because a lot of times we may feel that, we may say that, but we may not always feel that and or embody that mentality that both of us can win. There's a lot of opportunity out here. So why do you feel as though that even if someone did take that idea, that we both can win in that space? Because a lot of times, as entrepreneurs, as CEOs, it's our idea. We want to hold on to it. We want to baby
Yeah.
it, all that type of stuff. So, what gives you that idea of freedom? Because that feels like freedom to me.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's just the fact that like it's such a big game and no one individual can easily serve everyone.
Mm-hmm.
And so part of it is, I when you have a competitor, the benefit of having competitors or someone else who does what you do is you're growing your category. One of the biggest challenges that we face at Custom Box Agency is that the way we approach business, no one does it how we do it.
Mm-hmm.
We're not in the business of swag boxes. We say swag means stuff without a goal. So stop sending people stuff. We're not giftology. We're not corporate gifting.
Mm-hmm.
We're not like, we don't just send loose pieces of mail. We build these curated experiences. So the hardest thing that I have to face as an entrepreneur is I have to educate you on our unique value proposition every single time. Benefits of growing a category and having competitors is now the category is educating people, which honestly will make it easier for me to win in the long run because I have other entities going to market, representing and extending the message for the category we're in. So in that sense, as you grow the category, you create more opportunities for everyone. And I just think that like even with my business, as we continue to prove the model, and we've done this well over 100 times, these like intense campaigns that we build out, just a matter of time before other people jump into our category, which is a good thing and whatnot, because that again, it just helps grow it.
So let's talk about this. Because of this unconventional, non-traditional idea, right? That you're going into business with, but now you're starting a business that is non-traditional. So how do so how again, you see I see you staying in the, you have consistency of being not traditional, so how so how did you come up with this non-traditional idea and identify this opportunity for this type of business that you're in?
Great. I mean, it's a total accident. And what it started with is, I mean, if you look at like the history of like consumer purchasing behaviors pre-internet, people would watch an infomercial on television, see something in the back of a magazine, see a billboard, call a 1-800 number, and someone would send them a box with all the materials that they need. Whether it was a DVD set, cassette tape. My father still has his like real estate investing cassette tape sets that he has. This is from like the 90s. Like, again, he still has them to this date, but they had a physical presence. Then you go to the internet age and the digital boom, barriers to entry to play the game dropped because you could take your cell phone and create a product. And, then we go extreme digital because it's so scalable. But then the question is like, what's the quality of the material? So you see this drop in physical and this increase in digital. And when I left the corporate realm, my biggest struggle was when I would buy these digital products, I would spend $2,000 on something teaching me how to launch a virtual event, or like just money helping me start an online business. And what drove me nuts was that it was so digital that all I wanted was something physical to complement the experience. Like send me the workbook, send me the tools and resources I need to be set up for success. It just felt like there were these big hurdles that were preventing me from getting started with the product or service that I just bought. And, where the idea really came from was I was hosting, someone told me when I left corporate America in 2018, start a virtual event because it's a great way to build presence and build leads and connect with other people. And I did this virtual event. I was told to interview 40 people. I interviewed 40 people. And then for the 5 days that the event was live, we dumped 41-hour interviews on my listeners. And I'm just sitting there like this, I'm the host and I'm overwhelmed.
Right.
And if I want you to buy or take the next action step to buy the product or service that I'm trying to feature, now I've thrown at you 40 hours of content with 40 different perspectives from 40 different individuals. And it was just overwhelming to navigate that. So I wanted to send all attendees a box that just had the best insights that they could implement the key things. Like I did the extraction so they know how to navigate the event. They have all the tools and resources they need. They can get the quick win and go. And what I did not expect is when I sent this out to people who bought a ticket to the virtual event, they started doing unboxings. They started doing videos showing off the materials. Speakers showed, I had a publication that had all the speakers featured in it. They were going online showing off their spread because it edified them in a really powerful way. When they start promoting organically this box experience, other people started to buy because they're like, where do I get that? So now this organic traffic and momentum was happening. People who were doing videos were averaging out 3 to 7 minutes. And I'm just looking at this going, there's this massive need that is being unserved that people who have a digital only presence really need to complement it with something physical. And when you bring those things together, it's just magic. So this is what we tested again and again, and we keep seeing it, that every time we tested physical to digital and giving people the tools they needed for whatever it is. It could be a course, a virtual event, a challenge. It could be a software as a service platform. How do I get you using it for the first 30 days? It could be an e-com product. You could be a professional service provider. Coaching programs are huge. Seeing this model play out again and again, we're seeing people get results faster. We're seeing attrition rates or refund rates drop. And that's just kind of where this all started to validate this concept of, okay, if you have digital, you need physical to complement it.
So, it's funny because you hear a lot of people talk about use digital to your advantage, no overhead in some cases, right? And because of that, your profit margins, everything is higher appearance-wise, right? But I think there's something that you're talking about that we miss, that a lot of us has missed since COVID, which is the personal experience, the physical touch, talking to each other, all those type of things. And I think this is a part that you're referring to in your box, that people are missing this, hey, I belong into something. I'm not totally isolated in a corner somewhere.
So here's what I'll say to that. It's interesting because digital is easy, it's scalable, but we're also seeing stats that are coming out that completion rates for some digital products are nationwide average 3%. So it's like, how do you have a better digital product? Well, have one that has a completion rate of 3.5%, 4%. When I hear stats like that, it tells me I look at that and go, well, the model is broken. If 97% of the people aren't completing it, there's a massive opportunity to disrupt the market, especially with like online education, online learning. The cool thing about physical is I think people think physical is something that's so expensive with all this crazy overhead. But if physical can translate to higher conversions on the front end, higher completion rates on the back end, all of a sudden you're bringing people to say what's next to extend lifetime value. One thing I do want to point out that you did say that I think is really important is this word experience. Experience is seen through the senses. So when we talk about experience, it is seen through what you see, what you touch, what you smell, what you taste, what you hear.
Right.
And and you go to Disney World, go to Las Vegas, if you go to a live event, when you're immersed, it's activating all the senses. When you're looking at a digital only product, it's activating only what you see, what you hear. That's it. So podcast, what you hear, YouTube video, what you see and hear, scrolling through Facebook and Instagram, what you see. When I send you something physical, I can now activate touch, taste, smell, in addition to what you see and hear. So now I can activate other senses to provide a new opportunity. And so that's what's different about it. Not to mention the feedback we hear again and again is how doing this is innovative, because a lot of people aren't doing it. It's a huge opportunity for businesses. And we're also hearing people say it feels more elevated, more premium. You're raising the bar to the perceived value of my brand because I now have that physical touch.
Wow. And I'm listening, as I'm listening to you, I'm thinking about how I need to branch out a little bit more for myself. For those of you who are in this listen to this podcast, yes. Right now it's just audio. So I had to find a way and being more creative on how I could touch y'all from the podcast space, but what keeps you motivated on an everyday? Because I'm pretty sure that there's some things that comes your way that might discourage you a little bit, that might say, you know what? This entrepreneurial space is not for me. Maybe I need to go back to corporate America, So what keeps you motivated?
No,
So
you know what? I loved my time in corporate. I'm a
uh-huh.
corporate junkie. I spent my entire professional career in corporate America for years,
Mm,
pre and post business school. But I'm grateful. I think you have to have a little bit of crazy in you to be an
mm-hmm,
entrepreneur.
mm-hmm,
You know how that goes is the risk you take, but at the end of the day, the impact that you're like the biggest lesson I learned leaving corporate America and becoming an entrepreneur. In corporate America, you're hired into a bracket.
mm-hmm,
And so this is your bracket. This is your role. You're limited based on your bracket and the role you're hired into. And so there's a lot of things that can tell you yes and tell you no.
mm-hmm,
As an entrepreneur, the only one who's really telling you no is the voice in your head. And that was something that I'm like, oh, if I want to do this, I can go out and do it. The only thing that's
mm-hmm,
holding me back from doing that is me. And so once I realized that I didn't realize my true potential and the impact that I
hmm,
could create until I left corporate
hmm,
America. To your question about
hmm.
what keeps me motivated, I love my business. And every time we engage with a new client, it's a new experience.
Mm-hmm,
And so when we worked with lawyers, we worked with chiropractors, we worked with coaches, we worked with people across so many different verticals.
mm-hmm,
But every challenge is a new challenge, even industries that I'm like personal injury or
mm-hmm.
credit repair that you may look and go like, this is not going to be fun. It's a blast because the way we're able to get into the business and bring it to life in a really powerful way every chapter, like there hasn't been a project that I'm like, ugh, when will this end? Everything has been such a really cool experience to see how the model can work in different verticals.
Mm,
And my team is amazing too. So that's the other part about it. And when you see these boxes drop in market,
mm-hmm,
it's exhilarating because
mm,
now we created a product and now you get to see the customer interact with it and see the impact that it's having on them. So
mm,
to have a business that every time we finish a campaign and release it to market,
mm-hmm.
to see people interacting with it is just one of the most exciting parts about what we get to do.
So, I asked that question because as an entrepreneur and for yourself, you embody that idea of thinking outside the box.
Yeah.
Sometimes that 9 to 5 feels very safe. We understand the golden handcuffs. To
Oh,
some degree.
yes. I know it very well.
And so because and you had mentioned like we have to have a little crazy inside of us, right? So
Yeah.
um with that outside the box mentality, have that scared you a little bit, from corporate America to being now an entrepreneur, and thinking outside the box. Hey, I'm offering something that may not, everyone is not being offered. It's not a cookie cutter situation. Has that scared you some as you try to start it and then scale it?
Yeah. Yeah, it definitely has. And you realize how much of the game we play is mindset.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a hard thing to do. Mindset for an entrepreneur, mindset's the thing that nobody wants to pay for, but everybody needs. And what took my business from 6 to 7 figures, it wasn't about adding a new tactic. It was about rewiring the way I thought about my business, which
Mm-hmm.
I could not do alone. I needed a mentor to like guide me through that. When I hired this mentor that I was working with for years, he didn't come to me saying, hire me to be a mindset mentor for you, because I probably have been like, I don't know if I need that, or I don't know if I need to spend all this money for that. But he knew what I needed, and he was a business coach, but he gave me mindset. And that gift to just kind of give you that confidence part of it is we just need someone to believe in us and say, I believe in you,
Right.
and lean in it. We need someone to be able to challenge us when we have those states of lack. Because as an entrepreneur, there are days that you're like, what am I doing?
Right.
Why am I doing this? Is this ridiculous? And to have those entities or the outside forces that just kind of reinforce
Mm-hmm.
the impact and the potential that you may have, all of that to me was essential to starting to grow the business. And so now we're like, how do we grow it from 7 figures to 8 figures?
Mm-hmm.
Mindset. I know that now. I know that it's a big mindset play. Like I'm a process guy. I like strategy.
Mm-hmm.
We have a lot of great systems in place, but rewiring how I think
Mm-hmm.
and how I think about the business and the impact of the business. Mindset is huge for entrepreneurs. And that's one thing that should never be over. Because I will tell you, if you're like, why am I stuck? Have someone get you unstuck by just rewiring your mindset and how you're thinking about your business.
Mm.
That's it.
So, Mark, and I appreciate you coming on today. So let me ask this last question. In order for me to get, someone like myself to get unstuck in certain situations or whatever it might be, where might they be able to find you, to talk to you, to reach out to you, to even see the boxes that you offer that might be able to get me unstuck out of my business and move to another place?
Great question. So a couple places. I would say I'll give you 3 locations. Customboxagency.com is a great place to start. That's our website. It has examples of our work. You can fill out an application, get on a free call with a member of my team. If you want to reach out to me directly, I'd say go through Facebook or go through LinkedIn. Those are probably the best channels. Feel free to message me directly. I love to connect with people. I love to hear what they're doing. And, if it makes sense to have another call, happy to hop on.
Nice. So now, Mark, before I let you go, I got to ask you my world famous question. I'm not sure if you heard it yet or not. It's my would you rather question. So, Mark, would you rather choose 3 doors or a fork in the road?
Oh, what do you think about that? 3 doors or a fork in the road?
Yes.
I'm going to go fork in the road.
And why fork?
I think if I had the opportunity, I trust my intuition and I trust my gut. So if I'm at a fork in the road and just assessing the situation, I don't know, for me, there would be something intriguing about just trusting my gut in terms of the path forward. That is one of the things that, coming from corporate America, everything was about what's the data say? What's the data say? And gut was never a factor here. And as an entrepreneur, the more I've learned to tap into my intuition, in addition to thinking strategically about approaching a problem, that has been a game changer for me. And so that's why I'm leaning towards fork.
Really? So why would you choose 3 doors? Since you say you're leaning towards, why would you? Because you said you're leaning towards. So it seemed like you might be 60-40, 75-25. Why would you choose 3?
I'll be 100% fork.
Oh, you are? Okay.
Fork.
Okay.
I'm all in fork. Yeah. And part of it's like I can assess the situation. I can determine and just trust my gut and go.
Okay.
I feel like there's more unknown with 3 closed doors. Unless I get to go through all 3.
Okay. So now if I said to you that question had no parameters, is outside the box, would you still choose that answer?
I like my answer.
Okay. Here's the reason I'm saying that, because I didn't preference it before by saying, hey, there's no parameters with this, right? No one said that the 3 doors weren't glass. No one said they weren't plexi.
That's true.
So it's just an interesting way for us to see how us as entrepreneurs, how we think, and when we come across a situation, how do we determine our answer? How do we go about it? Our process of elimination, whatever it might have been. So that's all, it's just a fun type question. Nothing deep, no right or wrong answer.
That is brilliant. Yeah. I love it.
You love it? Good. I appreciate it, man. I appreciate it. So, Mark, thank you very much for coming on the show today, man.
Thank you, Maurice. I had a lot of fun, so appreciate you.
All right, cool. Thank you very much. And, of course, all his information will be in the show notes, LinkedIn, website, all that type of stuff. And be sure to follow him on Facebook. Thank you very much for listening to That Will Never Work podcast, and I will talk to y'all a little later.
Thanks for listening. Find us on social media at Chisholm Group LLC and check back weekly for new episodes. Until next time, that will never work, or will it?